Hello. Hello again. Here we are. The series is over. So we're going to do a Q&A today.
Yep.
Just need to get organized here. Do you have any opening remarks of anything you'd like to say first before I start talking?
Just a thought, something I'll reverberate. Yeah, I don't even know if that's what I'm supposed to be talking about, but I went to the track last week for the first time.
Yep.
And for kids, even for parents, I'm just talking about fitness, or when you're starting something that you want to do, but the hardest part is getting there. Is just get there. It's one of my favorite things I can do, or one of the favorite things I do.
Like going to the track?
Going to the track or running a hill. The hardest part about going to the track is going to the track. And then as soon as I step on, it's like, oh, that's great. It's such a great feeling. So as soon as I got out there, peeled the shirt off, started doing my stuff, and
get some sun.
It's like it's the greatest feeling in the world. And then it's so funny how you procrastinate because you know it's going to can be relatively hard, and you know it's going to beat up your body a little bit or not. But as soon as I stepped on, it was like, oh, it's like almost like a happy place. And it's like I sitting there going, like, why do you even procrastinate? Like, why do you think twice about it? So that's something that I would suggest to any kid that needs to shoot his pucks, because once you start doing it, then you're into it. And it's like, you know, we talk about that in the gym in the morning, right? It's the hardest part of getting your workout in is just starting the warm up. Once you do your, like for me anyways, once I do my first warm up exercise and stuff, then it turns everything on. It's when you procrastinate. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It takes a while to get going, and you might never get it done. So when you have that scheduled in, this is for the kids that are, you know, need to get their practice in, the yoga, whatever it is that you need to do to get that you feel like you need to do, the task, that there's other things, distractions that get in the way. If you just do the thing, you'll get the results, or you'll do it. You got to get there and start it. And sometimes starting it is just by doing it. You know, I read the book, The War of Art. You ever read that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Not The Art of War, The War of Art.
Yeah.
And he's a
Stephen
writer.
Pressfield.
Yeah. And he's a writer, and he said, you know, the biggest thing with that field is sitting down doing the work. And sometimes you don't have ideas, and it's just a matter of sitting there, whether you do it on a computer or a notepad. I like to do mine with physical writing. All my writing is that. I don't like using the computer for obvious reasons. But it's the same like when we do podcasts, right? There's other things I could do, like when it comes to like that are less taxing on the brain. So I like to, you know, piss around and let's just do the updates. Let's check what's going on in the hockey world and stuff. And it's like, and I know this is sitting there. So then I sit there and I go, okay, we'll brainstorm or whatever, and I'll write down some ideas. And then all of a sudden ideas become a story or a theme, and it becomes something good. But without doing that, right, just jotting something down, the words, whatever it is, get to the track and just start moving. Get to the gym and just start, you know, stretching. Then it's you're pushing a car that's at least in neutral, not a parked car. You get results. So I'm just saying that for the kids, for the parents, whatever. It's really the thing that will help you is like not procrastinate. Just do the thing. Just start doing the thing, and you'll get it done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think I'm gonna put a picture of that book up.
Which one?
Steve Pressfield.
Okay.
Yeah, War of Art.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it's an easy read.
Easy read. Yeah.
Easy read. It's like because it's I don't know the things he talks about. It'll be in like 2 or 3 page tops.
Some are one.
Where it's like he'll have a theme, and then it'll be a page 2, 3 talking about that quick theme that he's brings up, and it's like a super easy read. Good for parents, good for kids. It's a very thin book. It's not gonna take you a long time to get through, and a lot of good messaging. And it all talks about overcoming that resistance, kind of what you're talking about, resistance to whatever the task is that you're doing, because everybody feels it. So it's good for parents too, kids, whatever.
It's like kids that go and now that I'm on a tangent here, it's like have so many kids that talk like once they get to junior, it's like I feel like I got to fight. I want to get in a fight. How do I get in a fight? right? And it's like getting one.
Get in a fight, man.
So you don't know how to start it. Well, if you after a whistle get in the blue paint and give someone a shove, you're probably gonna get one sooner or later. Get your nose dirty, get in there a little bit, and it'll happen. And don't think about it too much. Just let it go.
Yeah,
That's
and
easy to say. Easy to say.
but it's easy, or it's good to have a plan or prepare a little bit. So it's like, okay, if we take the fighting example, it's like I can show you a couple things about like how to grab or what it might feel like to me, but it's like you can only plan. It's like the Mike Tyson, like everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face, right? So you have to just go and do the thing, because you can plan yourself till you never start, right? Like you can keep planning until you don't do it ever. I remember talking with one of my buddies that he wanted to start a podcast as well. This was a few years ago, and he kept planning the podcast. I'm like, dude, just start. I was like, it's going to be not good. Like your first episode is not going to be good. There's going to be a technical difficulty. There's going to be mics don't work. You don't know what to say. You keep repeating words. There's going to be problems. So you can keep planning as much as you want. But now it's been 3 months since you said you were going to start, you know? So just start doing it and then you'll figure it out. And that's the same. If you guys listening, go back and listen to our first episodes, I'm sure there's a noticeable difference between the first episodes you and I did and now, you know? So it's just part of that process. And it's like that with anything. It's any practice or any new skill or whatever. Just start doing it and you'll start to figure it out as you go. You can try to like watch some videos and have a clue when you go in there. That's a good idea. But at the end of the day, you have to start doing it. And I found that with running for myself too, is that was something I resisted a lot when I was young. I didn't like it. And I was talking to our guys last week about it, is one of the biggest problems that I had was figuring out pacing. Like how hard do I actually go? So I was talking to them about in the context of running a 5K. And I said, if you don't figure out how to pace properly, it's going to be a hard run, because you're either going to be crawling or you're going to be going way too hard where you can't sustain the pace, because the difference in degree is very subtle between, you know, you're at the end of your rope of what you can sustain and going overboard. It's a very fine line. And that's something that, to your point, because as you're saying, you know, I love going there and doing it. I just remember hating it. Like I just did not ever want to run. And now I'm much more in the camp of what you're talking about, of like I go, and it's an enjoyable experience, even if it's sprints. Even if it's because I'm not necessarily going there trying to kill myself. I'm going there and I have a purpose. So if I'm doing sprints, then I know I'm trying to get faster. So I'm going to break enough where I don't want to throw up. Or if I'm doing a 5K, I know how to toe the line where I can sustain my pace and not go so far that I'm going to have a heart attack and then can't finish or whatever, you know? So that's another thing where if you just start, you can start to figure some of that stuff out. And, you know, you can have a little bit of a plan, but you have to go and start doing the thing. So it's a great message to start off with.
Yeah.
Uncle
well,
Andy.
and you know, so there's a couple questions there in the podcast today, but like we can always go back to that, right? Like I need a better shot. It's like, okay, like start shooting. And your shot's going to be the exact same as it was yesterday when you start, but start shooting and keep shooting and keep shooting and do it every day. And then guess what happens with your shot? It will get better. And you know, you need to drop a couple pounds or get a little faster. Like instead of planning everything out, which is good, you can have a plan or an idea, but maybe even just put a pair of shoes on and start running, like, or just start doing some sprints. Overdo it or underdo it, but at least you did something and start evaluating, right? Like, so that's what I said. It's always easier to fix something that is like to push a car that's at least in neutral, right? If it's parked and you're starting from zero every time, it's really hard. But if you start correcting rather than starting to start all the time,
Exactly.
you know,
And
feel good about yourself.
And that's what I try to teach the guys we have in here. I know you do the same thing on the ice. And for those kids that are going to be coming in the summertime too, actually, that's a big theme when they're with us for a few days. They see that right away. It's like there's a process. It's not about being perfect right away. And that's a little bit cliched. Like people say that, you know, it's a process. Don't worry about being perfect. But it's actually so true, because everybody gets so defeated if they're not excellent right off the hop. Or I notice with the meal plans for the kids, it's like if they deviate, it's like forget it, not doing it, and I'll wait till next Monday now. And it's like, man, it's part of the plan is the failing part. That is part of the plan, you know. So if you just stick to it, and that's something that we try to teach a lot with our guys that are in here, the kids that are going to be coming through the summer to those AAA camps that we do. Hopefully, when they're starting out, they're young. That's something that they can pick up when they're here, when they talk to the guys that we have, and when they're the older guys that have been through it and those types of things. It's a really good. It's a really, I don't even know if I'd call it a skill, but it's a good skill to be able to understand that the failing is part of the deal. Be able to fail, be able to lose, be able to take those things, because that's how you can figure out how to keep it going and get better for the next one. Because you're not gonna just be great right off the hop. You know what I mean? So, on that note, well, I guess actually speaking of that, those AAA camps still are filling up here. So a lot of people have been reaching out of town guys. So if you want to join in on those, they're running through July and August. So if you want to join in on those, you can send me a message. They're for AAA kids. So if you just send us a message through the contact page, I've been sending out the information to people that are reaching out that way.
What do you mean by because I saw a couple of the notes, like where, when, how much, and all that stuff. Could you just be, I'm not being a pain in your ass.
I know. Yeah.
Could you just be clear, where do people get the information?
Yep. So if you go
contact page to me as a 54-year-old dude.
Yeah.
Means what is that?
So I said this last time too. If you DM us on Instagram, a lot of people like doing that. There's too many. Like I can't keep track of all of them. So if you have sent me a DM on Instagram about the camps, it's very likely I won't answer you in the time frame that is needed. Eventually I'll get to them, but it might be gone by then. So you go to the website contact page,
which is
powertechhockey.ca/contact.
Look at me being
I know this is it,
detailed, right? So
powertechhockey.ca/contact.
Okay.
It's also in the link in the bios of our social channels. And all I need you to write in the subject is either junior experience program, AAA camp, whatever, something relevant, and then the kid's team name, AAA team name, and age group. Those are the only two things I need to know, because then I know you're a AAA player and approximately where you're located. So because some kids that are more local, we have other things that are appropriate because they can get here, and kids that are further away, I might not include all of that information because you're not going to come to those. So anyways, if you're interested in doing that, that's how you do it. And it should be good. We're getting a good mix of kids that are all across Southwestern Ontario and into Michigan a little bit too. So it should be a good mix of players for all the age groups, because we have running from the U10, AAA, all the way to U18s. So if you're interested in that, send that out. And now on to the Q&A, unless you have any other words of wisdom.
Good. Let's go.
Okay. So
let's get started. Let's get to the track. Grab your shoes. Let's go, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Stretch and get going.
So all these questions have to do with the last 6 episodes we did, the parenting mini-series. So all the questions I have here are from people that are members on the website. So thank you to everybody that left in questions. I picked 10 of them that we're going to try to get through all 10, because that seems like a reasonable number. And I printed this the wrong way. So we're going to try to get through the 10. Some people asked to not have names included, so I'm not going to have names included for some of them. But so these are all members. So people that are interested in becoming a member, it's on the website, powertechhockey.ca/memberships, or in the bio as well. And you can ask us questions and get consultations, etc., which is really nice because some of these questions are very specific. So it's nice to be able to, as I said before, contextualize our answers to some specific examples. Okay, so question 1. This is from Barry. My son is 13. He has all the size, speed, talent, and skills. He's 13 years old. He's a practice and cone specialist, but lacks the hockey IQ. His AAA and AA tryouts ended with him getting cut for this reason alone. I know you said that some kids either just have it or they don't, but he's ready to commit to anything that will help him. We value your feedback. So there wasn't a question mark in that, but the question is more or less, how do you develop hockey IQ? You can go first.
Yeah. Okay. So number 1, it's very common that kids are really good with pylons. It's like very, 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 very common. And then you get in a game, it's like, why can't he do it? But the first thing with that is that you're practicing things that aren't realistic. Which I still think you should practice that because it's good skill development. But being good on cones is not being good on a player. It's not game situation. There's no resistance. There's not a whole lot of thinking except for figuring out the time and space on the next cone and focusing on your moves. But that doesn't really translate necessarily, except for every now and then into something that could be there in a game. So that's number one is
Practice
yeah
game situation.
the cones. You see, those guys are a dime a dozen. Barry, yeah, Barry. So I'm not saying your kid's a dime a dozen, dime a dozen. But what I'm saying is like that's the easy part of hockey is being good in practice and probably enjoyable because you get to handle the puck and do all kinds of stuff. The other thing is there's not a lot of competition when you're going against a cone, right? Like the hockey is about to compete; it's a battle, and not having the battle is a big deal. So you want to have constraints when you're playing or when you're practicing. So that's why a lot of guys look good in practices, doing drills that don't think about the game of hockey, and then when it comes to a game, they're not showing. Um, so first thing I would say is, like first of all, what position is he? Okay, so yeah, no, that's my question, right? So Barry, what position is your son? Because that will have a lot to do with not necessarily hockey IQ, but how you think in the game. Like I could give you more feedback if I understood what position you are, and then I would just assume that if you had zero hockey sense, or very little hockey sense, or you wanted to build hockey sense, to me, um, you have to have a position or go back to basics, and the basics are the things that actually make you great. So yeah, we would like to see guys, like everyone likes to see a guy have a highlight goal or make highlight plays, but that's not the norm in the game. If you're on the ice 18 times or 18 shifts in a game, most of those shifts are going to be the boring, mundane stuff. Not boring, but mundane. That means getting in puck lanes. That means back checking hard. That means getting in your position. That means going to the net hard. It's making a play, forechecking hard. Different things like that. So those are the things that you want to start your hockey IQ from.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
For sure.
So if I'm a forward, let's say, like this is the advice I would give to you is learn the little things. So if you're a forward, like I always tell people, is like find 3 to 5 things, but like 1 or 2 things in every zone, or 3 to 5 things in a game that you can do that has nothing to do with being a highlight reel. Because if you learn how to forecheck hard and take good angles, for example, that might be one thing, then you're going to be around the puck a little bit more, right? If you're around the puck a little bit more, you're probably going to be around plays. So that's a good thing. So that's a measurable thing. If you're in the neutral zone, like, are you just going straight at guys, or are you angling properly? So learn angles so that you can be around the puck more. In your defensive zone, be in good positions and learn those positions so that you're around turnovers or you're a pass option when the team has the puck. So that's like a couple things. It could be little things like finishing hits. But like maybe there's no hitting yet. Well, 13 there probably is. But that's what I would say is find the little things. And if you're a defenseman, it's like be a defenseman. Learn how have your stick, make plays, take away time and space from people, defend really well, move the puck up the ice. But pick 3 things that you can do in every zone, every shift. Not meaning, so to be clear on that, if you're not in your defensive zone, you can't play in your defensive zone. So 3 things. So now you're in offensive zone. Have 1 or 2 things that you can do well. Maybe it's a shot on net. I don't know, but that's something. And then the other thing is, I got 2 more things, and then I'll let you talk. So the other side would be, if you don't have a clue, like watch a game, watch some video, watch a game of maybe your favorite player, someone at your position, and watch the things that they do. Watch the habits they create. Watch your favorite player. And maybe don't even watch your favorite player. Watch someone that is just a pretty good player that you know of, and just watch the habits and just emulate what they're doing. So if you see they skate hard at pucks, and just try hard. But because there's no hard work will get you a little bit, right? So that could be on a back check, forecheck. But anyways, watch a game, watch what the position do, and then try to follow the game a little bit and try to understand it through video. Then the other thing would be like, and pick that player that is the same position as you. And the other thing is, if you really want to know more about yourself as a player, like what you could be, what you be lacking or whatever, is watch some shifts of yourself, because the video doesn't lie. If you watch video of yourself, you're going to be able to tell, oh, I worked really hard, or I chicken shitted out on that one, or I'm lost. I'm just not doing anything, so that you can say, okay, I'm not doing anything, or I like what I saw there. How can I make it better? So self-evaluate, right?
Yep.
So
Those are
that's what I would say.
no, those are all great. My ads were going to be the watching hockey and video stuff. So just to kind of tighten up kind of what you're saying, the bottom line for hockey IQ is you need to understand why things happen on the ice, because if you understand why things happen, then you can make decisions that make sense in the context of whatever the play is that's going on. So it's like, okay, why did that guy catch that pass? Why did that guy not catch that pass? Why is that guy standing there? Why is that defenseman position there? These are the things that you can ask when you are watching, and that's what's going to help you learn the decision making part of the game, which is hockey IQ. Because, like to your point, you said at the start, everybody can do cone stuff. You know, everybody can be good at stick handling, but that isn't the game. The game is not that. So when you're watching hockey, those are some of the things that you can look for. The other part of watching too is you said, pick someone that's the same position. Try to pick someone who's not Connor McDavid. That's a good practice, because then you have to find someone to watch for a certain reason. It's easy to pick McDavid, Matthews, Marner, Makar, whoever in those top 1% of 1% positions, and they do so many things well, but you could just be overwhelmed by the offensive dominance that they have or something, where it's like you're distracted from the reason you're watching, which if your goal is to learn the more intricate parts of the game, then like watching Connor McDavid go end to end isn't necessarily useful in that context. So if you remove that, pick a really good third line centerman, for example. Like, I don't know, is what's his name? Is Killorn a centerman? He's a winger. Who's a good third line centerman? I can't think of anybody right now.
Thinking off the top of my head, let's say Adam Lowry from.
There you go. Right, there's a guy that nobody would think of, or even Stanley Cup Finals are on right now. Right, watch third line center from either side, and just watch what they do, because now you're not watching Kachuk, or you're not watching. I mean, even though Kachuk would probably be a good guy to watch, but you're watching somebody who's the top number one guy, and you can get distracted by those really nice offensive things that those players can do. So take that out of it so you can learn some of those more subtle details. So that's what I'd say about watching. You got something? I feel like you got something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and the other thing is like second effort stuff. Like just
Yeah,
I've always been a
exactly.
big guy on that. Just find a way to have second effort. Like if you and compete. Like those are the things. Like if you're playing the game and you're not in a battle, like almost every shift, it means that you're not engaged. It means that you're not in a compete mode. You need to compete, and then with compete, it's not just kind of compete, and then have the second battle. You should be very, very tired if you're in battles.
Yeah,
So
this is kind of to my point too. If you're watching a Connor McDavid, maybe he just had a great battle, but then he throws a 50-foot sauce on the tape, and now it's like, whoa, what a pass! It's like, yeah, but you missed the battle, that's what we're trying to learn about right now. So that's kind of what I mean by that. So that's what I would say about watching the hockey stuff. And then the other thing I was going to say is what was I going to say? Video. Oh, for this specific question, asker, he mentioned just one thing I wanted to touch on. He mentioned his AAA and AA tryouts ended with him getting cut for this reason alone. So I just wanted to touch on that for 1 second, because maybe that is the only reason that he got cut, is because he doesn't understand how to play from a hockey IQ standpoint. But at 13, like if he's fast enough, big enough, can move the puck, has all the skills, but lacks hockey IQ, he probably would have still made one of those teams. So my point, and maybe not, but my point being is just be careful saying that this is the only thing that he's missing, right? Because there's a lot of things that a lot of kids are missing. And maybe I'm not saying you're necessarily wrong. Maybe he's only is lacking the hockey IQ, but to say that this is the only reason, and even if your coach said that, like that's the reason, whatever, that doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you guys should be paying attention to. Because if he didn't make AAA or AA, but he has the goal of making AAA or AA at 13, then there's some gaps, and it probably isn't just the one thing. So that's the only caution I would give you for just the way you phrase this part. For that, this is the only thing that he's missing. It's like there's probably more to it than that. So just think about a couple, or look for something else too. And like I said, maybe you're right, but just in case you're not, just take a look.
yeah. The other thing is if you do watch video, or it might not be in the video, ask yourself this question. Like, for example, why is the puck why does it seem like every time like I'm not around the puck, like our team gets the puck and I'm open, because you hear kids say that a lot, right? I'm open, I never get the puck. Ask yourself questions like, why aren't you getting the puck? Because if you are that open, you probably should. So maybe you're open in a bad way. Like maybe the puck is not even turned over yet and you're already going off the ice. Like you're open, but the guy can't get it through 5 people. Or maybe you're really good at carrying the puck, like cone drills, right? And you're really, really good at that. I was telling you someone that Charlie played with is like get the puck, go up the ice, and he'd always end up in the corner and lose the puck or be in a battle and be a turnover. It's like he did some of it well, but he couldn't think. Okay, like he didn't ever ask himself, okay, why do I end up in a corner every single time? Like why can't I get it to the net? So it's like that's the things you got to fix, and they're solvable because you're doing. In that case, the kid was doing something right, but he wasn't making it better. So not creating scoring chances. So, anyways,
for sure. So hopefully that seems thorough enough for that one. Next question is from Mike. A little bit longer, so just bear with me. I played hockey at a high level and have coached for a couple years. I have a 10-year-old son that has talent, studies, and loves the game. However, I see deficiencies in his game that eventually will have to be addressed in order for him to have the full complement of skills necessary to play meaningful hockey beyond youth levels. Wow, very well worded. How do I appropriately address his deficiencies at age 10, or do I at all? Before you say leave him alone, I'm on board with hockey being all about fun at his age, and he does live and breathe hockey right now. The weirdo wears a hockey jersey to school every day, but I want to help him because I love him and he loves hockey. Also, having a dad that knows a little does and should benefit the kid. He says, well, at least he says to me that I'm his favorite coach. So I believe we have a good hockey relationship and he respects my insight. How would you, or did you help your son at his age? So just to give the brief summary of that, he played, he's coached for a few years at a high level. I don't know what that means, but at a high level. The kid is 10. He sees, from a hockey standpoint, he's identified deficiencies, but the kid is 10. So now he's like, okay, do I jump on these or do I let the kid be, or is there a balance, etc.? That's the question.
Yeah, I got it. I love this question.
Great question.
I want to meet Mike.
Now this is so this is why this is a perfect question.
Yeah.
Because here's a guy that obviously has some self-awareness.
Yeah.
He's played high-level hockey and he's fighting with himself a little bit. Like, okay, my kid's only 10, so like, do I like relax? Or he's showing me that he wants it. So it's like, do I give him more now? Does that make me crazy dad? And this is the like textbook parent battle of, if you're a reasonable parent, like this is the textbook battle you're going to have if you see your kid has a little bit of something for the game. So it's a very interesting question. Go for it.
And it's a humble question.
Yeah.
Because what I like about this is this person played at a high level, which I'm going to assume it's like junior college, and he did something with hockey. So, and he's coaching now. So I love this question. I like Mike.
I like Mike.
I think I like your kid already, Mike.
Yeah, way to go, Mike.
Age 10. This is awesome because actually this question reminds me a lot about myself.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I was banking on you saying that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it because it's like, okay, I see something here. And I love when he said, before you tell me just to leave him alone.
Yeah. Love that.
Because I actually wouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Especially in this guy's Mike's position. He actually has something to offer his son. So, and I wouldn't leave him alone. It's not necessarily good by any means because you have something to offer him, right? And it's not like you're some guy that is looking at his kid and saying, "Oh wow, he's awesome," and never played the game. So you're looking at a kid very probably objectively, which is hard as a dad because you want to see the good, but you also saw deficiencies, which is good. But yeah, you have something to offer him, so you got to offer it 100%. Don't beat him over the head with a sledgehammer, but yeah, things to offer. I think a couple ways. Like first of all, how I want to look at that is your son probably looks up to you because you probably can skate and you probably understand the game, and he probably does look up to you and says, "Okay." And if he says you're my favorite coach ever, then that's a good thing. Finding deficiencies is the hard thing because similar to you, my son had a couple of deficiencies when he was younger. Like, for example, I didn't think he was a very smart, good, aggressive hockey player, but I didn't think that his skating was what I liked. I didn't love his skating. I didn't hate it, but I knew it wasn't elite when he was young. So I'm like, okay, that'll be something that he'll have to be a little bit better at. So did I say your need? This is the important part, Mike. Is I didn't say you need to fix your skating. That's the important part. It was like I would always ask him. I'd always tell him stuff like, "I love watching you play because what that did is it encouraged him, it encouraged the relationship, encouraged him to keep playing more." And it was true. It was a true answer. I loved watching him play. I got a kick out of it all the time. I loved him. Loved to see him compete. I loved to see how passionate he was with it. That was awesome. Um, I always asked him. I said, "Do you love it, or like how much do you like hockey and stuff like that?" And he would always give me the feedback that he loved it. Um, and then it's not. This is going to sound crazy, but it's not. Like, what do you want out of hockey? And I'm saying it this way for this kid in particular, or this dad in particular, because he went to a high level and he's got like little genetic. I'm talking about. Like that's what I knew with my kid is like I was a great hockey player, good hockey player, whatever you call it. This is my life. And if he loved it and wanted something out of it, there's obviously a vehicle that could help him maybe achieve it. Not achieve it, but steer him towards a goal. And that's okay. That's okay. So it was I'd ask him a lot like what do you want out of hockey, buddy? And you know, when he was young, he wanted to play AAA or he played for the Windsor Spitfires or the Edmonton Oilers or whoever it was. And it was cool. So when you see a little bit of talent, you see a little bit of genetics and all that stuff, why wouldn't you foster that, right? It only makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Want me to go?
yeah, go ahead.
So I just piggybacking on the relationship part before you go to your next point. He mentioned several times in different ways that we basically have a good hockey relationship. So the one sentence he says, I believe we have a good hockey relationship and he respects my insight. So my advice, and I'm talking more from the kid side because I remember how my dad talked to me, and sometimes it was good, sometimes it was not effective because he always communicated to me in the same way. It was always like dictating a little bit. And I think I mentioned this in podcasts before. If I had a good game and my dad wanted to talk about it, I was just like in a good mood. So I would be more open to hearing the feedback. If I was having a bad day or whatever, and he was using that same communication style, I was no longer receptive to it. And I would start going to like my judgments of my dad, especially as I got older. Because we didn't mention that last week too, is like you can see what your parents do. And if you're not buying into what your parents are saying because they don't do it or they don't live the values, then it's easy to think, well, what do I got to listen to you for? Like I don't see you doing what you're telling me and those types of things, right? So coming from that lens as the kid, leverage the fact that you have that good relationship, because when it comes to deficiencies, the kid, even at 10, the kid probably knows some of them. Probably knows what some of them are. And I think you can use that relationship and leverage that to make him figure out what the deficiencies are. And if he loves hockey and he wants to be better, he'll want to work on those things. So instead of being, let's say the kid's shot isn't great or whatever, it's like you can ask him about when you guys are just in your regular hockey conversations. If he ever says, Dad, what do you think I need to work on? Instead of it being like, well, your shot, it can be like, well, what do you think you need to work on? And now you can start to steer him in the direction of your shooting is weak, where it's his idea. He came up with the idea that his shot is weak. And then once he finally says to you, yeah, maybe my shot could be better, then you can be like, okay, like what do you think you can do to work on that? And now the kid, you guys are coming up with a plan together, but you're playing that parent role where you can kind of brain ninja your kid a little bit into coming to the conclusion that you see. And this is an answer that's specific to this person because he knows hockey, right? I wouldn't give the same advice necessarily to just any dad. Where if he feels like he can actually identify the deficiency, that would be, in my opinion, the way to go about it is leverage that good relationship to have your kid come up with the idea, because then you'll never run into kind of what happened to me where certain days I'd be like opening to hearing the lecture, and then other days I'd be like, just shut up, Dad, leave me alone, because I don't want to hear you bark at me all the time. You know, so that's what I would say in terms of the deficiency part and helping the kid kind of come to it on his own. Does that make sense what I said?
Yeah, it's actually one of the things I was going to say about that. Cool. So like I was going to say, like, your kid loves hockey, you can talk about it, you can have a nice conversation about hockey. It's not a weird thing for you guys. So you can have that nice conversation about hockey, and then you could either ask them like something like, hey, do you ever want feedback from what do you ever want feedback on what you could be better at or whatever? Maybe that's a weird question for you because it might come across as like I'm going to show you some criticism, but it's like that's the next question is like ask questions like what do you think you're good at? Like what is right? So I used to say with Charlie, like, what do you think you're good at? Like, oh, I could shoot a puck. It's like, oh yeah, you can shoot a puck. And, oh, what do you think someone else is good at? Oh, do you think you can shoot like that guy or skate like that guy? And like it opens things
Great.
up.
Yeah, that's
You know
great.
what I mean?
Yep, for
Asking
sure.
questions to give you results, and then say, what do you think you ever struggle with, son? And then you might agree or disagree, but he might say nothing or something that he's actually really good at. But let him speak, right? And give him an opportunity to tell you what he thinks he's good at or whatever. And then ask, do you want feedback or is this something that you want to work on? Do you want me to point it out? Not necessarily point it out, but do you want me to um, um, address it every now and then, right? So like if like say it's your quick feet, like the kid's quick feet, let's say he doesn't have quick feet, it's just like you can point that out now and just like instead of even saying something negative, you can just say on that one play when you got the puck, you were moving your feet nice and quick. I really like that stuff, right? And then and that's kind of pretty good feedback for him too. Praise him when he does at the skill that he lacks is basically what I'm saying. So if you say he's, let's say, use a quick feed or something like that, or the speed, or laziness, like say maybe he can cheat and be a little bit lazy, then when he doesn't, really praise the good thing that he does that when he's lacking. Because if he's just scoring goals, then obviously praising that's not really going to help him. When he does the things that are um, out of the ordinary for him, like extreme hard work, whatever it is, praise him for that, and then just don't beat him with a don't beat a dead horse about whatever the deficiency
Very
is.
important.
Yeah,
Very important,
yeah,
man.
yeah. Just don't make it a thing all the time. Just subtly do it because you're a smart guy. You'll be able to figure out. You know what I'm talking about here, and ask him if he wants to work on it. Like if it's his quick feet and he realizes it, or if he says, "I think I could be better at that," say, "Hey, do you want to work on it, kid? I'll do it with you." Or in practice, I'll do some shit with you. And then I think a real important thing is flat out tell them why working on your deficiencies and why they're important. So let's say it is, I'm going to use something totally different. He's not aggressive at all. Or he's kind of lazy on a back check. Let's do that. Lazy on a back check. Explain to him like why that's so important, because it's not the high end skill, just like we said earlier, it's not the high end skill stuff that matters. It's the little details. So it's the little details that most people take for granted. If you, as a hockey player and as coach, explain to him why that's so important for him as a player, for his development, and what did I just say?
Why it's important for their development?
Yeah, why it's important for the development, why it's important for the team.
Yeah. For the
So
team.
now if you
That's a
do
good one.
things, if you do little things to make your team better, and like you're teaching them the team game and stuff like that too, that's very helpful. And I'm just, I always liked praising my kid for the little things. Like, and so my son, so very, very, this is why I like this Mike's question, because it worked for me and my son so far. I praised him for the little things, and even when and I explained the little things to him, I didn't really ever say to him that he was awesome for scoring a goal. I always praised him on the little things. So by osmosis, almost, he learned how to back check because that's what I valued in a player. When even though there wasn't hitting when he was very young, I helped him become aggressive. Which once there was hitting, he was naturally aggressive. He liked moving the puck. He liked being a team guy. He took pride in being a two-way guy, being good in his own zone, and it worked for him. Why I say that is because he's translated that into the OHL. Whereas a lot of kids that just focus on goals and those kind of things and don't look at those little things that are important, when they get there, they don't succeed or they have a hard time because you don't get rewarded for the big things unless you're just a power play guy. You get rewarded for the small details of hockey. So, anyways, address it, Mike, 100%. Talk to him about it, and I don't. I'm talking to Mike here, so I'm sure you figured out how to do this.
Cool. That was good. So next one we got this is from Alex. So Alex says, learning the ropes and navigating youth hockey is extremely difficult for a parent who did not grow up in hockey. That is facts. What are a few pieces of advice you'd give a non-hockeyed parent for when their kid is just starting, the kid is making the move from house league to travel, the kid gets cut from a travel team, or their kid is looking for a new travel team? He has a second question, which is also good, and I would like to do both. So maybe we'll do this one a little quicker and then get to that one. So, non-hockey parent, advice for their kid is just starting to play. Let's start with that one.
Just, I could keep this really quick. There's not a whole lot to it. Let your kid play. Like you don't really know a lot about hockey. He's just starting to play, so just let him play. Let him play for a little while. If he gets to make a team, enjoy it. If he's really good, you're gonna know. If he's not really good, you're gonna know. If he's average, you're gonna know. But if he's a really good player, he's gonna get an opportunity maybe to play somewhere else. But just let him play and have fun. And how good of a player he is going to reveal itself, and opportunities will come from there. So I wouldn't get too hung up. Like the thing with a lot of people is like, maybe the question is this: is what do I do to make him better? Just let him play right now. He's going to ask you if he can do more. If he wants to more, that means that he likes more. Don't go chasing stuff right now because you don't even know if he likes the game.
So then, second,
yep.
If the kid is making the move from house league to travel, advice on that.
I don't really understand the question, but I would just say, like, if he is making a move, like he's making it, it's going to be a little bit more competitive than house league, obviously. But it's the same thing. It's just hockey, and just work hard, try to learn a little bit more. You're going to be more receptive. That's all.
What about like having some expectations on the kid now? If he's jumping to a travel team, like maybe can you say a little bit depending on the age, but if the kid is making the jump, you can start to have that conversation about, okay, we're paying a little bit more now, schedule's a little bit more now. Do you start to maybe have some conversations with the kid about that, or do you just still just leave him be?
Yeah, I depends if this is Canadian, US, like what is travel around here. Like the first level of travel is just playing like one community to the other, which is 10 minutes away. So it's not really that much more of a travel commitment. But if it's AAA, then yeah, I mean, you could have a conversation, but I think it might go hand in hand. But yeah, of course, we're gonna put some time into money into this thing, so make sure we're working hard. But I don't know. That's a different question.
No, I think that's where you kind of talk about you can always have an expectation of effort.
Always have that.
I think if
if my son was playing house league, I want him to work hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
If my son was playing pickleball, I want him to at least try.
Yeah, right. But I think now that's where it starts. If you're going to be paying for the kid to not just go up there and mess around, more or less, it's like I feel it's fair to have that a little bit more of an expectation, at least in terms of the effort part. What about if the kid gets cut?
Gets cut, that's like this is just the reality of life. Sometimes you get cut. My biggest thing when people get cut is don't blame, don't criticize. That's what's his name, Dale Carnegie, man. Criticize, condemn, and complain. Find out why you got cut. Like, do something about it. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't feel good, but a lot of the times people like to cry. I'm not making fun of them. Like to cry because they got cut, but they didn't do anything to make themselves a whole lot better, or a lot of times. So like getting cut is part of the deal. Honestly, learn how to overcome it. Like it doesn't mean that you're bad forever. It's just right now it's a kick in the ass.
Yeah, you got things to work on.
You can get better. It's not a big deal.
And then what about if you're looking for a new travel team? That's a little bit loaded, but I think my first thought is just why are you looking for a new travel team? So is it because you got cut, or is it because you want to move, or whatever? So those questions kind of have to be answered first before we can answer the question. If we assume it's because there was an issue of some sort, then I'll take the answer on this one for you. I think it's just know what you're going into when you go into it, or best you can. And that's the same advice I give any kid going to play for any team. It's like understand who's running things, who's calling the shots, what kind of people are involved, what kind of opportunities your kid going to get. Those are the questions that you should have answered for that. I like this second question better. So same from Alex. My 2015 birth year player has a coach that is too intense and is inadvertently putting pressure on the kids to do things right the first time and not make the same mistake twice. As a parent, how can I best approach this with my coach? We love our coach and don't want to change teams, but I can see this getting worse and worse into the fall season. So you got a coach that's for young kids, 2015, so that'd be U8. Young kids, coach is too intense. Seems like he's putting too much pressure on the kids in this parent's opinion.
Yeah. Well, like first of all, like I want to be real clear on something is what's a mistake at 8?
Yeah, right.
Like what's a freaking mistake in hockey at 8? Because I watched an NHL game the other night. The hero for the Florida Panthers was Keith Tkachuk, and then first game of the series, he throws a pizza up the middle and they put one in the back of the net. That's a mistake, but it's also just hockey, right? I watched the Memorial Cup final game. So for the guys in the States or Europe that don't know what that is, it's the Canadian Hockey League's Memorial Cup is the final. It's a championship of the 3 leagues. And in the final game, the first round pick in the NHL was a D, and it was a 3-on-2, and his gap was so bad. As it was going, I said, Charlie, this is going in the back of the net, man. Like this from the red line in, goal center ice in. I said, this is going in the back of the net. His gap was so bad, a first round pick in the NHL, and he got burnt bad because the guy could just stop and do whatever he wanted. And he made a play in the back of the net. It's like it's a mistake, but that's what hockey is. It's mistakes. Or at U8, there are no mistakes. There's no such thing, really. You're just learning how to play hockey. So, having said that, there's maybe he means the drills have to be done perfectly and they're not allowed to screw up at all, but it's like they're young. So anyways, first conversation I have with your kid. If it's bothering you, just say, hey, listen, you do your best, listen to the coach, try to absorb what he's saying to you, and because if you do it well, he's probably going to be happy with you. The next part is that if it's ridiculous, then depending on how your organization is run, I don't like to jump all over, but this obviously seems to be bothering you a little bit, would be if you have, I know here we have what they call parent liaisons, where you talk to the someone, it's an intermediate between the coach and the parents. Maybe you throw that out and say, like, the guy's losing his marbles, man. He yells or he expects perfection. Can you maybe talk to him? Or give it, don't be real confrontational about it, but ask the coach, hey, can I speak to you for just a couple minutes? And if it's a concern of yours, maybe you're the only one concerned, but anyways, if it's a concern of yours, maybe it is just something worth pointing out. But you don't have to go all over them with guns blazing. Just say, hey, listen, man, kids are 7, 8, whatever. And it just seems like you're freaking out every time they do one little thing wrong. It's like they're 7. They're not good yet. So, I just want to maybe make you aware of that. And that's, to me, that's the best you can do, because sometimes that's just what you get.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is sometimes you just have a philosophy difference. Like sometimes the coach likes to be a hard ass, or he likes to have that intense delivery. And obviously depending on the severity, if it's just that you guys don't really line up and how you're, so like, let's say you had the conversation and he doesn't fix it, or you've had a few conversations and he doesn't fix it.
Yeah, that's the way he is.
So it's like, that's the way he is. Yeah. So now what do you do? So now you have to make a decision. It's like, do we deal with this and use this as like a learning situation where it's like my kid can learn how to deal with maybe a guy that he doesn't respond to very well or whatever? Or is it too much and maybe we need to go somewhere else or do something different next year or whatever, right? So that's kind of what I would say about that. I don't really think it's something that needs to be that crazy unless the coach is that crazy, and then maybe you have to make a different decision, right? So that's where I would leave that one. Okay, next one from Scott. I like this question a lot. My son just turned 10. He likes to play defense. He has gravitated towards that. He seems to enjoy it and appears to be okay at it. At his age, is there even a skill that he should work on to become a decent player at defense? So, kid's 10, likes to play D. Is there a skill, or are there certain skills that he should start to focus on to be a good defenseman? So that's one angle.
Yeah, well, obviously, like awesome that your kid likes to be a D, because a lot of kids don't choose to be that when they're young. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give too much advice because he's 10. So the first thing as a D, though, is try to be really good defensively. Try to shut down guys and all that kind of stuff. But if I was going to pick a skill, make sure that you can skate, make sure you can pivot, try to do all forward, backwards, lateral,
the transitions,
the transitions and stuff, and then be good at moving pucks, getting the pucks up the ice. But the thing is when you're young, it's a matter of playing. Like, I don't like to focus too much on saying do this and this at this age, because it's like things could change. Things could change big time, and the game's not really the game. But as far as a skill goes, you want to be able to skate 100% and learn, like have a goal in your mind to don't lose battles, like one-on-ones, two-on-ones, like just really be the skill of battling is huge. And then pass the puck, learn how to pass the puck crisp, and I think that you're in good shape. But skate, man, skate.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about this too is because the kid's 10, don't just lock him into D though. That's the only other thing I would say about it is because I mean it happened with Charlie. He was a D and then ended up being a forward, and so don't. If he likes to play D, that's cool, and if he wants to stay as a defenseman, that's cool. But he should also be learning and understanding other positions, so winger, center, whatever, because he's still only 10. So it's a good idea to just keep that in the mix. So that's my only input that I'll give on that, aside from what you said. Make sure he's not just locking in on D at 10 years old. Make sure he still gets a good understanding of all the positions, because there's a lot to it, and it can be really helpful to have a grasp. We've talked about that a lot before. So that's that. I'm going to jump one to John here. Another long one. Bear with me. John says, my son is entering his U15 AAA year in the GTHL, and based on what various coaches tell me, if he continues the way he has been, he'll be well positioned for the draft in 2 years. I've managed to keep a lot of the craziness at bay and keep it mostly healthy and fun for him so far, but as he gets closer to junior, I find myself getting increasingly nervous because of all the hazing stories I'm reading. You guys mentioned rookie parties on the podcast last week, and if it's really just a few beers, as you said, then whatever, but I've been reading and hearing about things that are much worse than that. I want him to succeed at the thing he loves most, but as his father, I feel strong need to protect him. He's definitely his own person, but I see potential for him to play along, since not doing so would mean the end of progress in hockey for him. How, as a parent, can I prepare him for this kind of pressure and protect him from being damaged, or am I just overreacting? And how common is this kind of hazing in junior? There's a question.
I love this question.
Freaking awesome question.
I was just having a conversation with Adam Jeffrey the other day about, because he goes to RIT, and we were just talking about whatever, and we actually were talking about hazing and stuff, and we both were just talking about how different it is. So I love this question, and again, this is another question where this is as a dad, because I went through it as a player in 1985. Dude, I was talking to Adam about that yesterday. It's just it was
that's different.
It was bad.
Yeah, bad.
I saw a few years of that, but so John, to keep you at ease here, it was really bad then, and I think the stories that you heard about, and that you kind of hear about, are from a little bit more of the past. Now, having said that, there recently was something in one of the OHL teams that guys got kicked out of the league. I don't know how bad it was. There's no real details on that. But let me go back to that. It's very, very few and far between. Okay, so back when we played in the 80s and 90s, it was bad. I had to do things I didn't want to do. I was nervous about it. I didn't like it. Didn't want to do it. I don't know why guys had to be this way. And when I became a veteran, it's like I didn't want to participate in those in being the veteran, having the rookie parties, the hazing bullshit. I thought it was stupid. But having said that, there are a segment of guys that they like to be, for the first time in their life, the boss of other people, the veteran guy, the big wheel guy, And there are a few guys like that would like to flex their muscle a little bit. Having said that, the way it is now, this is what I'm really happy with the OHL now, is Dave Branch. I've mentioned his name a few times. He runs the OHL, CHL, and they recognize that, if you want to have people in your league and develop humans and market it, you can't have that shit, and they didn't do it just for marketing, but you don't want your members of your team and parents doubting that this is an unsafe place for kids. So they've done a good job of taking the hazing. We didn't use those words, but the hazing out of it. And there's penalties for hazing. So
Big ones.
Yeah, big ones, and
Big
there
ones.
should be.
Yeah.
So it's so much now. So this is for John. There's so much now that the teams are very, very, very like. So we've got hazing, bullying. That's kind of the same thing. The racism, the all the stuff that goes with it. It's very, very, very policed, and thank God. Because to me, there's no need for it, but there's going to always be a little bit. So it's got to the point, I believe, based on the kids and my kid telling me, it's like it's not anymore like rookie pick up the pucks. Now I told my son, when you go there, like, you're the rookie, go pick up the pucks.
Right. Yeah.
Be the rookie.
Yeah.
Because if you go be the rookie, be the good guy, and just be the rookie guy, and eat last, all that stuff. It's not bad. Enjoy it. Because you only happen for 1 year.
I'm sorry, I'm just sorry to cut you off. I've said this before. There's a difference between someone making you do it and you going and doing it. So that's where the difference is. Go there knowing where you're at on the team, right?
And I think I said this before. I had one guy on my team. He got traded to us my first year. I'm 16 years old. I got there early. I'm loading up the bus a little bit, not because I had to. It was just I was there. I was one of the first guys, and then I had to, but I just did my job. So this guy got traded. And the first time I met him, obviously he's a new guy on the team. I know the name, so I went up to him and said, "Hey, we're not going to say his name. Hey, bud, Andy," and he said, "Shut up, rookie." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." You're 21. He's 21, right? He's an overage. I know, that's cool. This didn't stop. It was right to the end of the year. It's like, dude, like, come on. Anyways, back then it was a lot worse. So right now, the OHL colleges, it's very, very strict. So there's not really a such thing. Now, does anything happen? I'd be lying and I'd be full of shit if I said, yeah, there's no rookie party ever. There's stuff.
There's always a rookie party.
And it's and it's more of a welcoming thing. And it's also a little bit of, yeah, you're probably going to have a few beers. Yep. Yeah, and you're probably going to have more than you want. And I came to the conclusion with that. So anyways, going back to John, I feel your pain because I was there in the middle of it when I was 16. I didn't want my kid or any of my kids that I train to go through that. It was shit. Absolute shit. And for some people, it's enough to turn them off. Yeah. And it wasn't right. But now there's so many constraints for good, and I think honestly, for the most part, the kids are just better. Like, as far as it's more inclusive. It's not. I don't want to use the word inclusive. What is the word? It's more. Kids are more mature, maybe.
I just think, to me, I think it's just been an actual culture change.
Yeah, there's a way to
hockey.
say it.
And I'm gonna go now because I want to get a little more specific for John here because I'm kind of fresh out of it. There's every team I was on that's in junior and in college, we had a talk every year about it, and there was like zero tolerance, none, and the zero tolerance is enforced, and those are the stories that you read. So the oddball story of where there's a team that has bad behavior, like I remember, I think it was University of Ottawa, they had their hockey program suspended for 2 years because of incident. Whether, I don't even remember, honestly, if it was hazing or some other misbehavior, but whatever it was, it's very tightly monitored at the high levels. So that is the first piece of mind, is that it's not allowed. So because it's not allowed, the teams sneak it. And that's what ends up happening every year, is there is a rookie party on most teams every year.
You mean the players?
The players sneak it, right? So they have a team party where they're not allowed to call it rookie party, and they'll still have the party. And basically what ends up happening is you do a bunch of drinking games, and kids either do them or they don't. The vet guys try to make the kids do them, but at the end of the day, if the guys don't want to do them, like when I played, I remember my rookie party, it was like, if you didn't want to do it, you didn't have to. But so I remember exactly what one of my vet that year said to me, because I remember I had to drink this thing I didn't want to drink, and he just goes, yeah, like, you don't have to do it, but like, if you do it, it'll be pretty cool. And that was kind of the mentality. We had a good group of guys though, because to your point, you'll get the one idiot or a couple idiots on your team that take things too far or try to push it too far. But what I'll say about those types of things, most of the time the games are like they're drinking games. That's what they are. And there'll be someone on the team that's kind of the dad and making sure everybody's okay. But what I'll say about that is, if the kid is uncomfortable, or because some of that's going to happen where the kid is uncomfortable because it's a new situation, there's every team I've been on, and I was one of them when I was a veteran player, there are guys on the team that the young guys can go to for like a little bit of protection. And so what my advice would be to, I mean, you can't really do this because you're the dad, but for the kid, if you teach the kid to have some sense, he can find those guys on the team. So I remember there was veteran players on all of my teams, and then I wanted to be one of them because, to your point, I thought all the like rookie party shit was stupid. So I would always say to guys like, "Yeah, this is the game." And then if guys came to me and they're like, "Dude, like, do I have to do this?" Whatever. I'm like, "No, man. Like, if you don't want to do it, it's fine. Like, you could just watch it. It's fine." So, or I would DQ them from the game. I'd be like, "No, he ain't doing it. He's out. He's not playing," or whatever, right? So your kid can find those guys, and he can ask them, and he can say like, "Hey, man, like, I'm nervous about doing this." Don't go to the guy on the team that's a goof, obviously, but you find the guy, the older guy on the team that can that has your back a little bit, or you feel like you can trust a little bit, and you can say to them, "Hey, man, like, I'm not cool with doing this, or I'm really uncomfortable doing this, or I don't know how to do this, or I don't want to do it," or whatever the thing is. And you'll find good guys on the team, man, that want to help.
Especially now.
Right? Especially now. So
like back when I played there, you know how you said if I didn't want to do it, you didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
Well, back when I played, if you didn't want to do it, you're still doing it.
Still doing it. Yeah.
And all the things you read about, that's exactly what it was.
And it still happened. Like, those stories still happen,
Yep.
right? Like, you could have the majority of the older guys that make you do something, and that's a bad situation, of course, right?
Yep. But all the stuff that you read about, that used to happen. It's changed.
Yeah.
Unless it's done.
That's the one-off.
It's
the one-off.
It's so rare now.
That's why it's a story to read about.
That's why it's a story now. That's
it's rare.
The world has changed, and for the better in that case, for sure. Now, what I would say is, as a parent, before I give John some other advice, as a parent, when you're bringing your kid through this is where parenting becomes very important. Is if you raise your kid with values, and not I'm a little wiener, but if you raise your kid with some values, can maybe think things through, has some social skills and stuff like that. If he gets drafted, and as you're talking to him, it's like, tell him to be exactly what you said. That's one of the things I was going to say is you're going to gravitate, if you're a good kid, which most kids are, gravitate to the people, the true leaders of the team. And if you do your little rookie things right, especially, just not go along, but just be humble when you go in there. And you find the Ben McFarlands and guys like that Charlie played with, and just they're your friends, your friends. Just say, "Listen, man, I'm nervous," or whatever. I got you. Nothing's gonna happen. That's stupid. And then So teach your kid that much, anyways, and check in with him when he goes. Like, just say, "How's everything going? Is there a party coming up?" Because I was worried. I'm not gonna lie to you, right? So here's the advice I give dad now. Obviously, we know that there's a couple teams that don't give a shit. It's been in the paper, right? But you could read that coming over the last 3 years, But if you're talking to, if you're talking to organizations where the general managers and the coaches and the owners have been there for a long time, so I'm talking George Burnett in Guelph. He's been in the league for 30 some years. There's a reason he's still in the league for 30 some years. There's James Boyd in Ottawa that has been around for 20 years and run an excellent program, and there's seems to not be any issues because they run a tight ship. They're quality people. Dave Cameron's their coach, right? These are good quality people. That the Hunters in London, they're good people, man. They've been running this thing for 20 years or so. That you're going into a place where your son is taken care of, and the leadership of those groups are so good. Like, even though stuff will happen on the side a little bit here and there, they know what's going on, right? They know. And it's like, okay, there's so much that you can put up with, but there's a line that you'll never cross with these guys. And that's, so as a parent, you don't have to go to the team where, like, I'll, there's a couple teams that have called, like back when Charlie was getting drafted. I'm just being honest here. That I talked to because there was a couple interviews where I was included and Mom was included on the interviews, and I sat there and I'd be like, "There's not a chance, he's going to your team. Not this guy. You're a clown. You're a clown, dude. Like I don't even like you in a phone call, let alone like, I'm going to send my kid to you for the next 4 years. Not a chance." So if you have that gut feeling, you're allowed to ask questions, and you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to say, "Nah, not a chance we're coming." Because if that's a concern, like, and that's one area, right? Because if you can't control a hazing or a rookie party situation, you don't have quality people running your organization. That's just one instant. That's just hazing. That's just the beginning of your rookie party. So the whole year will probably be a shit show. So my thing would be is like, if you do your due diligence as a parent, and because it is your job or it is your right to put your son or daughter in an environment that is safe within reason, right? Like, well, no, safe. And if you don't like what you see, you don't have to do it. And you wait it out, and you can go to college, or you can go to another team, or get traded, or just say no. So I think it's really important to do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip it back to from the kid side, because the one sentence here from John is he's definitely his own person, but I see potential for him to play along, since not doing so would mean the end of progress in hockey. So first of all, the tail end of that sentence, the if he doesn't play along, he won't progress in hockey anymore. That's not really true. So if he doesn't play along, like that isn't necessarily a consequence to him, unless he's being a wiener on the team, right? And this is now where you have to be able to balance participating and being part of the team versus you guys are idiots, I'm not doing that, with that like judgmental superiority complex type of attitude. So just based on your sentence, he's definitely his own person. That to me indicates a bit of a strong personality where he can make his own decisions and he's not necessarily going to be told what to do by anyone that tells him what to do. So that's a good thing. And then you seeing potential for him to play along isn't necessarily a bad thing because of the first part of your sentence. Because he's his own person, even if you see a little bit of potential to play along, that's actually not a bad thing necessarily, right? So I remember for me, because my parents in my opinion, they did a great job with me when I was in that situation. It was exactly that. I knew exactly how to toe the line. Whereas like, I'm going to participate just enough where everybody thinks I'm cool and part of the team, but not so much that I'm uncomfortable or don't feel safe. So what did I do at the time when I was in rookie party, when I was 16 years old? I found, like I said, I found those guys that were the veteran players that I could trust, number one. And then I found ways to be sneaky because I have a brain. And I'm like, I've never drank anything before. I'm not drinking all this. Like, I'm going to want to die. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know what's going to happen. And had I drank every single thing they gave me, I still would have been fine. But I don't know that when I'm 16. So what would I do? Guys are turned around and I would like chuck some of my drink out of my cup, right? Or I'd pour some of this out over here where nobody saw, or whatever. I got to go pee, and I would take my drink and empty it because I'm not an idiot, right? So if you have my point of bringing that up is that if your kid, to your point, like you said in your own sentence, he's his own person, that means he probably has some brains. And from dad's perspective, this is again me talking as the kid. It's like if you, like you said, brought your kid up with a head on his shoulders and he's got some values and he understands life a little bit, then he's gonna figure out how to navigate the situation. You know, so you can rest assured that most likely scenario, if he's got a head on his shoulders, is he's going to be okay. And you have to trust that you've taught him the right way, you know, because being able to toe the line is an important part of fitting in with the team, which is important. It's important to fit in with the guys. So he might have to play along a little bit, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing, right? As long as he knows where to draw the lines and where to have a hard line where I'm not going past this point. And that's the end of it.
Most of the teams now it's more of a welcoming thing anyways. It's not a punishment thing.
Right,
it's just let's have some fun. You're gonna, be part of the team, and it's not usually a bad thing.
And that's what it was for me.
Get the odd idiot, that's all.
That was from like 2010 to 2017 or 18 was my junior and college career. it's like every year we had a rookie party, and that's basically what it was. It's just like everyone just hanging out, having fun, and it wasn't anything to be worried about, you know.
Yeah, there's the teams are run so much better. The other thing is in college, I don't know how that goes, but I mean, can imagine what those parties are like.
Yeah, now it's
I know like a lot of times
the
CHL gets a kick in the ass, like they're the bad guys. It's not really. It's just everywhere.
I know.
You go to college and there's no parents, no billets. I mean, I can only imagine with that. But all I know, my rookie party, I was sick for 3 days.
Yep.
And I woke up with an Export A dart in my mouth. I'm like, I don't smoke. And other stuff.
Oh yeah.
But, yeah.
Okay.
But as a parent, I really, really, really feel for this because this is a real question. As a parent, like you care about your kid. It's brutal, but
it's a good talk. That's a good talk to have, man. That's why I like the member questions. That's great. Okay, next one. This is from Brent. When you talk about not doing spring hockey, are you talking about avoiding traveling teams or just taking a break from hockey altogether? This spring, my 7-year-old son participated in a local cross-ice 3-on-3 league once a week for 8 weeks, and he really enjoyed it. It was probably his favorite thing to do. So we're revisiting the spring hockey conversation here.
That one sounds good.
Yeah.
7 years old.
So we can do another little clarification on our position for spring hockey.
Here's what I say about the spring hockey is because, you know, one of the things that as we've been talking about this, we got some people that talk like, and this is it works with our examples of why. You know, we've had some people from Northern Ontario say, like, our hockey's shit here because it's so spread out. There's not enough kids. We don't get real competition. That's why we do spring hockey. And that was one of my reasons. Then there's a good reason. You're getting some good competition. A lot of the kids from out west, parents say, yeah, but that's one of the things that we do and all that stuff. The areas spread out more, so whatever. And it's fine. Some areas, spring hockey is good, but it's like, what are we doing it for? What are we doing spring hockey for? And from my perspective, a lot of people do it because, and this is my perspective, I've seen so many people do it because they think they're going to make connections. They're going to find out where they rank amongst everybody, and they're getting ahead of the curve and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's not what it is. Or it's that negative attitude. It's like, I'm going to play real hockey now with real good hockey players, not the shit that I have to play with back home, which just isn't true. So that's my connotation on spring. I think it's very expensive. It's totally unnecessary. But again, if you want to play. I don't really care. But if you're asking me, like, if you were to ask me, should my kid play? If someone came up to me for advice, I'd say, like, what are the circumstances that you want to play? And if it's because he got injured, he didn't get enough hockey, wasn't exposed, had a bad experience, qualified bad experience though, then yeah, go play some spring hockey, but it's not a necessary thing. So 7 years old, you're not going to hurt your kid. 8 years old, you're not going to hurt your kid. It's as you start getting older and you think it's like a necessary thing for hockey development. No, it's not.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to add anything because we've beat the spring hockey thing to death. Yeah. It just comes down to intention for me.
Yeah. So having said that, though, it's like I really, I don't want to be the guy that says that sucks, don't do that. You got different camps of people. I've got some people that because of spring hockey, they played some spring hockey and it was actually really beneficial for them. You get the odd guy that went to a spring hockey, like Deli was saying. Yeah, he said they found a guy, a late bloomer that was playing in a summer league, junior though, that actually got drafted or invited to a camp because of it. So it's like that happens. It really does. But then we've got some NHL guys that there's not a chance they would put their kid in that because they think it's absolutely ridiculous, which I think for the most part is. But then you got other people that, yeah, they put their kid in it because they think it's the right thing to do because it's more hockey. So, like, I'm not here to say, don't do it, I'm right. Everyone's got their own thing. But what I would say about that is, like, the person said that they played an 8-week cross ice thing, right, once a week. That's awesome. It's fun, man. It's cross ice. It's whatever. But what I'm saying is there's kids need a break at some point. They really do. And I would just look at from a parent's point of view, it's like you don't need to be spending that. But who am I to say? You don't need to be spending all that time and energy and money.
Yeah, it's
just ridiculous.
We're saying the same thing. It's like they're it comes down to the intention. You don't have to do it. Like, we're not anti-spring hockey. Like, we joke that we're anti-spring hockey because that's what people say about us when they comment. But we're not anti. It's just like, what are you doing it for? It's the same conversation every time.
Yeah. Well, what it is for me is that when I see it, I just see the business side of it. Not just the business, but what I do is I see the business side of it, and it's just uh, and that's fine. It's a bit, people are allowed to run businesses, and it's great. But what I see is the people just thinking it's an absolute necessary
That's
to be
same for
doing
me.
it. It's like what?
That's what's annoying for me. The business is. I don't even care. Like, you can run a tournament and make a buck, man. I don't care. But it's like, because people think they have to go. Like, that's where the issue comes in. If you don't think that and you still want to play, it's fine. It's just the intention, right? That's what it is. Every time we talk about it, it's the same thing. So we'll leave that one there. I like this question. This is from Janine. A little different flavor question here. Yeah, I think I'm saying that right, Janine. Janene. Janine. What are your thoughts on the BCHL leaving Hockey Canada in terms of the 16, 17, 18-year-olds trying to land on a BCHL Junior A team and move on to the NCAA? What would the impact be on those teams and that league? Will the skill level drop or rise? Will the BCHL still be a significant player in feeding the NCAA? I have a lot of thoughts on this because this has been top of mind for me. So you want me to go first so you can gather your thoughts?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I think, first of all, I don't know a lot about why they left or what. I know they've been trying to be their own league for a while. I know it's been happening for like several years, and now I guess they finally did it. Um, to the question of what will the impact be to those teams in that league, I have no idea. I don't know, because if they can run it really well and they can still keep the talent pool high, then it'll still be a really good league that feeds NCAA. Will the skill level drop or rise? If it does drop, it'll take some time as the league loses credibility, if it does lose credibility. But if it doesn't, then it'll be the same. People are still going to want to jump over there and play. So it really is just remains to be seen. Will the BCHL still be a significant player feeding NCAA? It will be, as long as they can keep the talent pool up, which I don't know if they will be able to or not. The reason I like this question, though, is I think whether or not the BCHL left Hockey Canada, this is just in my opinion, I think there are so many other leagues now that are becoming accessible to NCAA schools and scouts, and there are so many different ways for them to find players now that didn't exist even 10 years ago. You know, like there's Hockey TV now. That wasn't the thing when I played junior. That wasn't the thing. Hockey TV, they stream every game of every league ever, basically. So all these schools have access to all the leagues, all the players. They just need to come across them, right? So now we're seeing, like, Brooks Bandits is a good example, where they're in the Alberta League, and obviously Cale Makar might have been the one that kind of put them on the map as a top organization, but they were already a very good organization in that league, and now they're really have a really good reputation in the Alberta League. In Manitoba, that Steinbach team, they were in the finals this year for the all junior A teams, whatever. They've been pumping out guys getting committed in Manitoba. It's a Manitoba league, right? Obviously, the Ontario League, they commit guys all the time. So I just think it was going the way of things being spread out more anyways. And the fact that BC is no longer part of Hockey Canada, I think that will discourage some players from going there. But I really don't know what the result of that's going to be. But in terms of kids moving on to NCAA at 16, 17, 18, I just think the opportunities across many different leagues are growing a lot because there's access, which there wasn't before. So that was the point I wanted to make in addressing this question, is I don't really think it matters all that much whether they're in Hockey Canada or not, because I don't know what the result of that's going to be. But I feel like even with just our guys here, like we have kids getting scholarships. Like, we have two of our guys that are going to get scholarships out of that Steinbach team from Manitoba, right? We have guys that went to the Null. We have guys that from the OJ. We have guys from all different leagues that maybe 10 years ago it wasn't as common. So I think it's kind of just heading that way anyways. So that's probably the most impactful thing, not necessarily that they're not a part of Hockey Canada anymore. In my opinion, that's how I see it now. But again, I don't know a whole lot about what is going to happen or what the results of that are going to be for those players.
Yeah, I think I'm just guessing. I don't know. I'm not really good at probably talking about this too much because I know the BCHL was a very good league. I know that they had probably restrictions on bringing kids over because Hockey Canada had age limits on when you could leave. So it looks to me like they just wanted to be a business, like, leave your stupid rules alone and we're going to run our own thing, which is fine. And I think they could, I think they still probably run a really good program. Like, why not? The and then the schools are still just looking for the best hockey players. So if they play for the, whatever you want to call the league, if you got good players, they want them. So I don't think it's going to hurt anything there. I really don't know. Like, what they probably just want to get away from the governing body of Hockey Canada, but it's not going to stop them from getting kids in the.
Well, yeah. I mean, two of our top guys are going to
Yeah.
Penticton next year.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So it's like, and to your point, the schools are trying to find the best players, man. They don't care. You could be playing in a senior league somewhere. If you're the best player that can play at their level, they're going to want to give you a chance. That's the bottom line. So it doesn't matter whether you're sanctioned or not. They don't care. They don't have a dog in the fight of Hockey Canada. Like, they just want guys that are good, you know? So as long as BC can keep up the quality, which I don't see any reason why they wouldn't necessarily, then like, on paper, if they're not part of Hockey Canada, maybe that limits them in some way, or that limits their options in some way.
Well,
interacting with other leagues.
where it would hurt, I think where it would hurt let's say a kid from Ontario or Manitoba or Quebec that went out there, that's a Hockey Canada player. They went out there, I think, would you go to an outlaw league, which it would be called now. It's not under hockey. You can't come back to the Hockey Canada for at least 2 years or something like that. So if you're 16 and you want to make that move and you don't like it, or things go south on you, then now what? So that might be the deciding factor for some kids who are going out there or not. But I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. In regards to nightmare parents, how would you manage to hold them accountable without taking it out on the kids? So, for example, cutting a kid because the parent's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Well, I think that's your answer. No, so if I'm running a team and I got a nightmare parent, I don't want any piece of them. So maybe at best I give them the one warning or the one talk and say, listen, Eric, I know your game. I know your shit. I've heard all about it. I've seen it in action. Zero tolerance, like zero. And then he's going to say, yeah, but that. And then you're going to say, no, okay, like zero. See you later. If he pretends to comply, great. Maybe that's the answer. And if there's any issue whatsoever, guess who has to get taken out on the kid? I mean, you have no choice. You know, we had one, someone was telling me about, like, and you heard this conversation or you were part of it. I think we both told this person the same thing. There's this nightmare guy. And it was like a pain in the ass. And they were tiptoeing around the tulips here. And they're saying, like, what do we do? What do we do? And I said, cut the kid. And they're like, well, yeah, but it's like, what are you going to do? Put up with this guy's shit for the next 5 years? Because he's a pain in the ass? Like, sometimes the actions of a parent is going to come out on the kid. It's, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, that's my answer.
Yeah, I think like you said, if you can, when the kid is on the team and the kid is playing, the behavior of the coach away from the time that we're playing the game shouldn't necessarily impact. So, like, let's say the dad's a pain in the ass. That doesn't mean bench the kid for 2 periods. Like, right. That's not helpful to anything. It's either you're kicking the kid off the team because you don't want to deal with the dad. Because I don't even know, like, can you suspend a parent? Like, can you say they're not allowed to come?
You can do it, but
like, I don't know, how do you enforce that?
I don't know.
Like,
I'm not a cop.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
No, but I don't know what, like, I know what you're saying is, like, can you do it through are there procedures?
Yeah, you just ban this guy, but like he can still get in, manipulate the other parents, or like try to stick their nose in it from afar, even if they can't be at the rink, right?
So this is my thing: is you cut the head of the snake off.
Yeah.
Like, dad, come here. Kid's not playing, and then you'll go nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Not playing. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you're the problem. You shut your mouth, he gets to play. You act like a human, he gets to play. You act like this, he doesn't get to play. That's it.
Yeah.
Because I can't yell at the kid. He's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You're the idiot.
And I think that's fair. I don't think that's unfair or not right or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You're either I feel like unfairly taking it out on the kid would be like sitting the kid for a period or something because of the dad. It's like, no. It's like,
tell the dad first.
Yeah.
Tell him, you explain why.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you tell your kid he's not going to play. I'm going to tell your son today that, or like whatever this example is,
Mhm.
your son is not going to play because of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell him why.
Yeah. I think
You
that's
tell him.
fair. Yeah. Fair enough,
I'll
man.
tell him that he's not going to play. Your dad will tell you why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let you can deal with it because you're the problem.
Okay. I got a couple more. Our son is good enough to make U15 AA. This is coming from Saskatchewan where they don't have AAA.
Okay.
So good enough to make U15 AA. But what if he doesn't? Our house league program isn't very good. What other options should or could we explore if he doesn't make that team?
Yeah, so that's a little different situation than living here in Toronto, like living in Toronto or Southern Ontario, Ottawa. It's kind of like Northern Ontario. It's like one level is good and the rest, then it's like really falls. So feel for that because you're in rural Saskatchewan. So there's an example of where you might want to look at an academy, the spring hockey, stuff like that. That's what I would be looking at if necessary.
Yeah. Look how this worked out, eh? Perfect example of
Oh, that
where
makes sense.
this is where you start exploring other
Yeah.
things, right? So here we go. See, we're not anti these other things. It's just when is
Not
it
at all.
appropriate,
Not
right?
at all.
So you're stuck.
Some of these other things are really good.
Yeah, so this is a great example. You're stuck. It's like you
Yeah.
get cut from your team, you can't go anywhere else. You have
Yeah.
to play house league. Well, house league sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, then what is the option? So if you have an academy that's good, that's around, you can afford to do that. There's a good option. If you're allowed to get a release or move teams, I don't know if they're allowed to do that in Saskatchewan, but if you are, you can explore those types of things. If none of that is an option and you have to play house league, you have to play house league. So that means in the spring, maybe there's a spring team you can play for. Maybe there's other tournaments you can go to or whatever where you can get that higher level of competition again. Like that's a perfect opportunity to do that. So nice, like that. What are your thoughts on young kids I like this question. What are your thoughts on young kids, let's say age 9 or so, having social media accounts to showcase their talents? I've noticed parents doing this on their child's behalf. Do AAA coaches look at this kind of stuff?
Okay, so what's my?
Want me to go first?
No, not necessarily.
So,
You can, sure.
So let's say young kids. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be 9. It could be 12. It could be 14. Whatever. Having a social media account to post about their hockey stuff. So video, gameplay, whatever. They said I'd noticed parents doing this on their child's behalf, and then asking, is there a benefit basically of doing this? Do people look at this kind of stuff?
So let me go. I'll go first.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So number one, I'm just talking as a dad, and my wife being pretty smart, very smart, is for my kid to have a social media account when he was 8, 9, 10, not real smart. It's just not real smart because there's the hackers, they're all the stupid shit that comes on the social media that they don't need at that point. They're not smart enough to decipher what's good and what's bad, right? They're kids, they're little babies, right? So number one,
not appropriate, really.
Number two, I look at this as to showcase their hockey stuff. Okay, so now we're saying, it's a fun account, right? That's a fun account, but it's like, do you need to do that? Like, what are you showing off? Like, showing who? And do you need, like, to me, it's attention seeking. And I don't want my 8, 9, 10-year-old, this is me, for my kid, having attention that's false bullshit, getting likes that aren't true. Like, it's false. So for me, I would say hold off. And then also, what's the word? Control their social media, right?
Internet in general.
Yeah. Like, just don't let them post whatever they want. It's a dangerous thing because at some point you're going to be on social media and it's going to take over your life.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Well, and I think there's a difference, like, because kids now, like, it's all around them. So I think there's something to be said for, like, having them grow up with it in a way that is appropriate. And I don't actually know what the answer is to do that.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that means, but I think there's something to be said for that. It's like, it's here, it's around, it is what it is. So maybe as society, we need to figure out a way to have this integrated with kids as they grow up appropriately, which I don't know the answer to that, but that's something worth talking about. The only thing I'll say or even for parents doing it on the child's behalf, it's like, what are we lining up the incentives for then? So, like, for example, if the kid knows he has an Instagram account where you post all his goals or whatever, it's like now you're in a way incentivizing the kid to work for the goals or to work for the points or to work for the highlight. And if we're talking about hockey
Or work
development,
for the likes.
yeah, the likes, whatever it is, right? It's so now we're lining up incentives for something that doesn't matter. And even as a hockey player, it's like, if we've said this a million times, even just today, it's like you get the highlight reel goal. Like that doesn't mean you're good at hockey. And so we're just not teaching the right lessons, I think, if that's as far as hockey goes, even if there are no lessons being taught. Even if you never even talk about it and you just post it as mom and dad and the kid just knows that he has an account. It's like you're teaching them lessons that aren't necessarily optimal, in my opinion, if you're doing that without even saying there's a lesson to be learned. It's just if you say nothing, it's still not a good lesson, you know? So as far as do AAA coaches look at this kind of stuff, like when you're 10, 11, 12, 13, not as zero chance. Zero chance. So
not to pick a player.
No, even the AAA coach. It's like what, unless you might find a guy that does this, maybe. Like, so maybe you'll find a guy, maybe you're the exception of the coach that's looking for 12-year-olds social media videos. But how we've talked about this in terms of kids trying to get recruited for college and junior and whatever. It's like, if you're sending video, if you send your highlight reel, nobody cares, because that's not you're playing most of your shifts. So you can send your highlight reel, but what the coaches and the recruiters are going to look at is like, okay, can he skate? Can he make a pass? Is he a big kid? Even though all your videos are goals and hits and assists and whatever.
The best player ever.
Yeah, everybody's the best player in their highlight reels, So the coaches know that, the recruiters know that. So instead of them focusing on the Michigan that you did the one time, it's like, oh, he actually can skate pretty well. Now I'm interested. It's not necessarily the goal that mattered, right? So it's the same thing with this kind of stuff.
It would be like if you post a picture of yourself on one of the social media or anywhere. If you take a picture, you're not just you see these beautiful girls all over the place and guys that look like the best pictures ever on social media.
I know.
There's 83,000 pictures they've sifted through to get to that one.
Yeah.
That's not who it is.
Yeah, edited, filtered.
So it's like, it's just, come on, man. Like, I'm not looking for my kid on a social media highlight reel.
And I think that's a good underlying thing to remember, is that social media is highlights. That is what it is for most people. You get some people that post other things and use it for different reasons, whatever. But people that are using it in this way, it's like everyone knows you're just posting the highlights. So I don't find it to be particularly useful, and I really doubt that AAA coach for a 14-year-old team or 13-year-old team that has a full-time job and a family is like flipping through Instagram to see what 10-year-old he can find.
Means nothing.
Because I know for sure that doesn't happen at the higher levels, because they have people that are going out to scout and watch the actual game. So that's what I would say.
I think it says a lot when a parent is posting on behalf of their kid.
Something about that is just, it doesn't sit right with me.
Well, of course it doesn't.
It's not like you're, I don't know, you're just like putting your kid out there in
public eye. It's weird for a lot of reasons. Like, who are you bragging to? Like, that's what you're doing. You're trying to tell the world, like, how great my kid is. Okay, fine. No one really cares. And number two is like, what are you doing to your kid? Like, you're teaching them.
It's even like family stuff though. Like, unless you have like a private account where it's like only your family members follow you or your close friends, and like, that's fine. Whatever, you want to share pictures. Like, I don't do that, but like, if you want to do that, that's fine. But it's like these people, like a lot of people, they just have like public accounts with like their kids' pictures, and they're, I just find it to be a weird thing.
I look at it like,
it's not for me.
I look at it like the social media piece is like, I thought it was cool there, man. It wasn't cool.
Yeah,
I can't get rid of that.
Yeah, now it's there.
Can't uncool myself.
Well, that's what we talk about with like guys that have, like, I remember one of our guys, it was like a couple years ago, he posted a picture on Instagram and he was flipping the bird in this picture. And I remember texting him and I was like, hey dude, like, just so you know, people can see this picture, man. So just maybe think about how this looks to people that are going to find it. Because I do this. Like, sometimes people will send me applications for like jobs and whatever. I right away, I go to social media. I want to put a face to the name and I want to see what are they doing, And so it's important to know that, like, once you post some of this stuff, it's there. Like, everyone can see it, Anyways, let's do one more because it's been a long time. Last one here. Oh, we'll end on a good one too. What would you say to kids living in more rural areas that don't get enough exposure? For example, if they live in Northern Ontario and they're really good, most kids try to leave for bigger associations because the scouts don't come here.
Yeah. Well, this is we've had comments that people say you don't understand, but I was actually from Northern Ontario.
Sudbury boy.
So a couple of people said like, yeah, but you don't get it. I'm like, I do. And I do agree to a certain point, but just recently, Alex Ferrand was drafted in the first round of the Hamilton Bulldogs, and he's from Sudbury. So that theory is kind of gone. If you're good, I mean, really good, they will see you because they want to see you. There's scouts everywhere, guys. They will see you. Um, you just have to be good. Now, if it is, I actually had a call with somebody. It might have been a couple months ago that was from up north, and they said the competition is just horrible. I think they even like the smaller towns have two teams. It's like there's 5 or 6 teams within 3 cities. They got to travel, and it's like watered down. And I get it. So there is a case where again, you might want to go into like finding yourself tournaments, or if it is that bad, is more spring hockey. Maybe that's not where you're gonna get scouted. Or maybe if your kid is actually really, really good and you really, really feel strong that it's just you're not getting scouted, but you are, then maybe you do have to make a move. I mean, I know Thunder Bay organization the last couple of years have scheduled their games in Toronto, so they play in the GTHL, I guess, and that's the way. Think about it, it's Thunder Bay. There's nothing else around. You can only make one real true AAA team, if that. So they go down to Toronto to play their games in the GTHL, and that's an expense, but it is what it is. That's what they felt they had to do, and I can see where some of the organizations have got watered down, in especially the rural parts. But I can assure you 1,000% that if your son is good enough to play, he will get drafted. That's 100%. No one gets overlooked. And I know there's going to be people say, yeah, but you don't get it. I do get it. I'm in the business. I've got a couple friends that were the head scouts of the Central Scouting, Dougie, and now it's Blaine, that were the head scouts of the Northern Ontario, or head scouts, the scouts for Ontario Hockey League for the Central Scouting. I could call them today and tell them who's the best guys up there, and they'll tell me. They know. And when you're good, you're good. And Alex Ferrand is an example. He was drafted first round to the Hamilton Bulldogs. And there's more. Like you look at the Peterborough Petes, there's McHugh, Page, and not Dubois. What's that? Lefevre. 3 guys on the Petes from Northern Ontario, and there might be more. McHugh in London. There's another one from Sudbury. They're all over the place, and they get noticed. You just have to be good. Now the thing is a superstar, like a good first round pick, like Alex Ferrand playing in Sudbury, or Cooper Foster's from the Sioux, 3rd round pick. He's good. They notice him. They notice him. The thing is, you might be in that league and you might be tearing it up, but that's okay. Hudson Chitteroni, he went 3rd round to Sudbury this year. You're good. You get noticed. You might be tearing up a league and you might think the competition sucks, but scouts are not stupid, even though some people say they are. They can find a good hockey player.
Yeah, and I think it's always the same.
And sorry, the last thing is you might not go in the first round because there might be questions, but you might go in the 4th. You will get picked.
This is exactly what I was going to say.
And it won't matter at the end.
What happens is people that are in more distant locations or whatever, they say we're not going to get noticed, but the best players of that area still go. Even if they played for the Marlies, they go first round, but now they played for whatever Sudbury team and they went 4th round. It's like it comes out in the wash at the end, man. It's okay. That doesn't mean you got screwed, or that doesn't mean that, or whatever. But the problem is with a lot of the issues we talk about, it's the people that are on the margins that have the most to say about it. So it's the kid that is almost good enough, but maybe not. And that kid plays in a place that's not as scouted. And now they're like, oh, well, it's not fair because our team doesn't get to play against the Toronto teams. And it's like, Yeah, but your kid's not really that good, you know? They're not a shoe-in draft pick. So when you get like, it might help you to get a spot or not, like that year or for that day or whatever. But as you get to play, it comes out, man. Because if you didn't get drafted when you're 16 and you played for the Thunder Bay team before they're in the GTHL, and then you don't make a junior team the next year, like you can't make a junior B team, or you can't make a junior A team, or you can't make whatever local junior team is around you. Like, should you have been drafted before? Like, should you have been drafted the year before? Like, did you get screwed? You know? Or you're struggling to be a top player on your U18 team the year after your draft year. It's like, was that a mistake? Like, did you really need to get drafted the year before and you think that you were screwed? It's like, no, you were just a marginal player. And maybe you're right. Maybe if you played on a more densely populated area, or in a more densely populated area on a better team, maybe you got an extra crack. But at the end of the day, if you aren't good enough, you're not good enough. And it comes out. So it's like, it's the same conversation we always have, but I feel like it's those marginal cases that everybody likes to talk about the most, even though those are the rare occurrences, you know, but that's what everybody wants to focus on with these kinds of issues.
Yeah. I was talking to about a month, 3 weeks before the draft, the OHL draft, with one of the OHL GMs, and the guy's good. And he was talking to me, and he goes, "Yeah, it's just in this one area." He was asking me about some players. He goes, "Yeah, in this one area, it's just like it's hockey's so poor, man. It's just like there's nobody that really sticking out. It's just like they're not very good teams. Like, God." And out of that area, there's, I think, 5 or 6 guys drafted.
Yeah, exactly,
so,
man.
The good ones, the draftable ones, were drafted.
I remember that exact conversation, man.
Yeah, I told you about that.
It's literally, so here's a OHL GM
Yeah.
talking to you saying like, man, this area is weak.
Yeah.
Man, there's really no reason for us to be here. Man, we could.
2 of them talk to me like
it
that.
would be better if we spent our time somewhere else.
Yeah.
And still, from that super weak area, we got 5, 6, however many guys drafted. Still. Off weak teams, weak hockey, bad coaching, whatever. And it didn't matter because the best players stand out, man. Like, that's what happens. Yeah. You know, so I know it can be hard to understand.
The other thing is like, what you have to understand is that you do get scouted. And if you're scouted, like, let's just say, okay, I'm going to pick on Sudbury, my hometown, right? As you're playing in Sudbury, and let's say the league is a poor league, or so, let's just say it. It's watered down, whatever. But if you still have like the Hudson Chitteroni that was drafted, I hear he's very good, really good. And I played with his uncle and his dad. And if he plays anything like his uncle or dad, he's going to be a heck of a player. Like, I mean, real good and tough. So it's there. But they can notice he can skate, he can shoot, he can play, he's tough. I see it. Maybe it's a guy that's 6'4", he's lumbering, whatever, but you can see the potential, and they get drafted. And the beautiful thing, and this is what I always say, is it doesn't really matter so much the league you're playing in or all that stuff, because you're going to learn how to play hockey after that. Like, once you get to the junior level, now you're going to learn how to play hockey. You got the raw tools, the raw talent, the raw skill, the raw size, all the, you know, the whatever it is to make the ingredients to make a hockey player. You won't be one until you get to junior. So it that's your chance.
Yeah, right on, man. We've been going for 2 hours. So
really?
Yeah, I'm going to say let's stop. I apologize if we didn't get to your question. I do apologize, but we will do subsequent Q&As. I know, eh? So thanks to all the members that wrote in questions. Those are some good questions, man. We have a
Yeah, they were.
we have a thoughtful bunch.
Yeah, it was great.
A thoughtful bunch of members. So
Loved
that's
it.
good. So we'll leave that there, and on to something else next week. See you guys then.